Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Arkham Horror unboxing. This is for Path to Carcosa. This is video part 2 where we're going through all the scenarios and campaigns. We're not going to look at the books or the sheets to see exactly what you have to do and all that stuff. We're just going to look at the cards. So if you want to know the ins and outs of all the little stories and all the setup and that, you're going to have to pick up the game. We're going to read through the cards, but I'm not going to read through any of the... I might read some of the flavor text on some of the treachery cards and stuff like that, weaknesses, but I'm not going to read through all the agenda and act cards. I probably won't even read off the abilities on most of them. I'll just read the names through them. But we are going to go through these in order of how they would have came out per Mythos pack or card number wise. So we'll go through like these stuff that would have been from the original core expansion, and then going through if you're picking this up as just the full campaign expansion set it's now being released at. These should be the order they're in, but you will notice the card numbers go from like starts off as number 43, and then like the next like couple sets later it'll jump up to 100, then it'll be like 130, 150, like 200, because they go from different packs because they kept the cards in the same number order. Just that way they're just reprinting the cards from the original series. So alright, we're going to go ahead and hop right into these. Just first of all, we're even getting there even quicker. Spoiler for the story. Obviously, even though I'm not reading through the text, it's explaining what's coming up in the story or what happens when you finish it. Just by going through every card, especially looking through the acts and agendas, you're going to obviously see what spoilers of the stories are. Going through some of the other cards that come in there, you might see locations or various enemies or assets that come up, which are going to spoil story stuff. And then finally, when we get to the one of the last Mythos packs, we will end up seeing who the Ancient One is for the set. If you haven't already guessed or hasn't been cleared up through other cards throughout the set. So yeah, if you don't want any spoilers for the story, you probably don't want to check this out. If you just want to know which cards are in each Mythos pack, in case you want to just check out, hey, I don't want all of this, I just want a Mythos pack, where you see them, you can check out my speed video, which I'll have a link in the description for. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop into this. So we are going to start with, we'll drop my camera down. We're going to start with Curtain Call. So this is the very first scenario of Path of Carcosa. So the easy standards, if you draw the skull, you get -1, -3 instead if you have 3 or more horror on you. And if you draw the hood, the window, or the heart, -4. Your location has at least 1 horror on it. Take 1 horror from the token pool. If your location has no horror on it, place 1 horror on it instead. It's just gonna add horror everywhere, all over the place. It's just kind of a pain. Then if we flip to the Hard Expert, it's just -X for X is no horror on you. If you have no horror, X is 1. Instead, it's -5, and it's the same thing. So it just kind of increases it a little bit. Alright. Then we're going to look at our agendas. This is stuff the bad guys are trying to do. The third act, so agenda 1. And if we flip over to the other side, the emissary's messages. Search all set-aside cards for the royal emissary and place it in the theater. And I'm not going to keep reading all those. I'll pause them long enough for you to go through, but there's a lot of extra text on there. So you have Encore for agenda 2. This has to do with the royal emissary. Because these cards aren't as exciting. They're kind of forced, so they're interesting. We have Exit Now. Each investor takes 100 horror, cannot be prevented. Oh, okay, so it kills you. That's cool. Awakening. For Act 1. This is what we want to complete as investigators. His Final Bow. And then we have Act 2, The Stranger. The Man in the Pale Mask will be discarded from play advance. So you have a special way to advance that one. And then we get some other things here. So we have The Shores of the Holly. And then we also have an Act 2, The Stranger. So you have a second one. So you actually have options here. It's kind of neat. I like the branching paths. They're really fun. The Path is Mine. And then we actually get a third option. So same thing at the beginning. Then we flip to the front side. A City of Flame. So, yeah, so having some branches pass is kind of a neat way to do this. Then we have Act 3, The Curtain Call. The manual pale lobby is not in play. The lobby gains resigns. You can get out of the game if you like. If each undefeated investor has resigned, advanced. So yeah, eventually you want to, but it's kind of thing you have to. Have you done everything you need to do before you advance? Escaping the theater. We have to warn the police about what's going on, or the police won't believe us. We have to solve this mystery on our own. Alright. So then we are going to start with our location. We're going to start in the theater. This is where this entire thing takes place. The curtain call makes sense. Must have been one hell of an intermission. So I flip that over. So I get text about that. Nothing super special. We have our lobby. So there we have Force. From the lobby, you'll be able to put 2 of the set-aside lobby doorway locations you can play at random. Activate action twice. Draw 3 cards. So other areas we can go to is we can go up to the balcony. Which if we go to the balcony, we have Force. After perform move action during which you move from the balcony to the theater, take 2 damage. Would you jump? Yeah, so it's like, oh, you hopped down from the balcony to see what's down there. We have the backstage, of course, which will get us Force. From the backstage is revealed. Put 2 of the set-aside backstage story locations into play at random. When you're in the backstage, each hidden treachery in your hand counts as 3 cards instead of 1 for the purpose of counting your hand size. So if you have any hidden treacheries in your hand, it's going to eat up your hand size. Now we mentioned we had the lobby doorway, which is a private location. And if we flip that over, we can go to the lighting box. When you're in the lighting box, increase your resource cost of each card in your hand by 2. To make stuff harder to play. We have another lobby doorway, which could take us to the box office. Action. Gain 5 resources. Remember that you stole from the box office. Group limit once per game. I also love this as a fun mechanic for these stories, where it has stuff like, if you do this, you have to remember it. So it kind of sets up more of like a full story versus just, you know, oh, I do A, I do B, I do C, I win the game. So I was like, well, do we do this? Do we have time to do this? It kind of adds that intrigue. Another lobby doorway. And the green room, investigate. You get +3 book for this investigation. After skill test ends, discard each card in your hand. And then we had some alternate options for the backstage doorway. It's also private. So the dressing room, you can spend 3 actions to heal 3 horror. Another backstage doorway. It says rehearsal room. Forced. After you succeed by 2 or more while investigating the rehearsal room, take 1 horror. And then our third backstage doorway. The trap room. Forced. After you reveal the trap room, search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 copy of Swarm of Rats. Put it into play, engage with you. 2 copies instead of 3. There are 3 or 4 investors in the game. Shuffle the encounter deck if searched. Ooh, so that kind of sucks. But on the trap room, there's some mice in there, some rats. And then we have our weakness villain, the man in the pallid mask. He has 4 attack, 3 health, and 4 movement. Humanoid elite. Spawn. Location furthest from all investigators and aloof. So he doesn't hunt anybody down, just kind of hangs out. Action. Investigate. Your location gets +2 shroud for this investigation. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, you may defeat the man in the pallid mask. So it's just an alternate way to defeat him. And then we have the Royal Emissary. Messenger from Elberang, 4, 4, and 2. Monster elite. Prey lowest mental. Massive, so he attacks everybody in the room. Or he's engaged with everybody in the room. Hunter and retaliate. Force. At the end of the enemy phase, each investigator at Royal Emissary's location or connecting location takes 1 horror. So he doesn't deal horror to you directly, but he'll deal some every turn. So that could definitely be a pain to deal with. Alright, then we're going to hop into our second story or campaign. Is we have The Last King. So easy standard. So still revealing another location. If you fail, place 1 doom on a lunatic enemy in play. Hood, -2 if you fail to place 1 of your clues on your location. Window, -4 if you fail, take 1 horror. And heart, -X. X is a shroud value. And then the opposite side, lots of times the stuff just goes up. So, reveal another location. If you fail, place doom on a lunatic enemy and play at the most remaining health. So it's going to be harder to get rid of that doom. Hood, -3, place one of your clues in a location. Window, -4, take 1 horror. And heart, X draw by every location. If you fail, take 1 damage. So they just become a little bit harder. Alright, then we're going to have our agendas. We have Fashionably Late. So we're showing up fashionably late to the Last King. The Final Guest. The final bystander asks if the fierce clues on it, such as set aside Diane, divine enemy, and the location, shuffle the card, discard pile into the encounter deck. A Terrifying Truth. So this is going to be, so I don't want to risk it. So the agenda would be advanced by reaching its doom threshold. Instead, remove all doom in play and randomly resolve one of the sickening reality cards underneath the scenario reference card. There are no cards on the reference card. Advance to agenda 2B instead. So we're going to see something interesting there. So if you can't beat them, so 2B just flips it over. We have Discovering the Truth for Act 1. Force, when investigators eliminated, defeated by resignation. Place each of the investigators' clues on this act instead of placing them at his or her location. Objective, find as many clues as you can and yell this awful place. So if somebody runs, you have an option. Madness, noun, madness. State of being mentally, especially severely. Extremely foolish behavior. State of frenzied or attacked activity. Why are you looking at this side? There's no reason to flip to Act 1A. Flip back, 1B, flip back to Act A. That's pretty funny. That's like a Deadpool fourth wall breaking card. Alright, so I'm going to skip a couple of cards here quick. We're going to look at our locations first. There's a few other enemies in here, but I want to look at them a little bit separately because of how they work. So we have a foyer. So he says, option to resign. Having found valuable information about the production, you depart with your plan your next move. If each undefeated investigator has resigned, proceed to the no resolution was reached in the campaign guide. We have the ballroom. It says reaction after you perform a parlay action in the ballroom, gain 2 resources. We can go to the living room. This is like after the play, we're going to this giant mansion. So we have the living room. Reaction after we perform a parlay action in the living room, draw a card. The gallery. Force, after you end your turn at gallery, test for 2 mental. If you fail, place one of your clues on the gallery. Head out to the courtyard. To do force, after you enter the courtyard, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card's an enemy, draw it. And then we have the dining room, which will say, action, heal 1 horror, then reveal a random token for the bag. If it's a skull or a tentacle symbol is revealed, take 1 horror and place 1 doom on the dining room. Alright, so then we have some allies, or assets in here we can get. So we have Constance Dumaine, a sociable hostess, who's a bystander. It says they're going to have like the set symbol up there just so you don't mix them into your deck later on. They don't have a cost or anything. So you can parlay with them. Test for 3, book, task Constantine about the party. About the play. If you succeed, take control of one of the clues on Constance Dumaine. Force, when the last clue is removed from Constance Dumaine, flip this card over and resolve its text. And I offer you a glass of champagne. So this is the whole point of the story. You're trying to get information from these party desks about what happened at the play. So you go to, it says, Engram's Oath. So you go to this stuff and it says, remember that you interviewed Constantine. Flip this card back over his bystander side. So then we have, also you can talk to Jordan Perry, the dignified financier. Whereas action, if you have 10 or more resources, parlay. Test 2 books to fraternize with Jordan. If you succeed, take control of one of the clues on Jordan Perry. Force, when the last clue is removed from Jordan Perry, flip this card over, resolve its test. Time is money. And Mr. Perry has all the time in the world. And then his will be aligning clue Peru. So you just remember you interviewed Jordan. Ishimaru Hakuro, costume designer. So action, if you have 6 or more cards in your hand, parlay. So you're going to see like the roads have a better chance of talking to one person. The seekers have a better chance generally of talking to another person because it depends on who can have the most cards. So parlay for 2 mental to question Hakuro about the play. If she's 6, will take 1, control 1 of her clues. When the last clue is removed, flip them over. My, what a bold choice of dress. So then we get the pattern. So then you interviewed her. Sebastian Moreau, impassioned producer. Parlay test for 3 mental to gain information about the production from Sebastian. If you succeed, take control 1 clue. Last one's removed, flip them over. He's a visionary, but you wouldn't want to be in his visions. And then same thing, all this stuff, and then you interviewed him. And their last main guest is Ashley Clark, talented entertainer, bystander. 2 actions, parlay. You listen to Ashley perform, you take control 1 of the clues on Ashley, then force flip her over. Her voice is beautiful and full of passion. If you only knew what the lyrics meant. So we have some things there for Lost Carcosa and Jim Carcosa. You remember you interviewed Ashley. Alright, then what we have is we're going to look at Diane Divine, material and mischievous. So she's an enemy that we had to set aside. So it says 2, 3, and 2. A humanoid cultist, an elite aloof. Each investigator at Diane's location to not discover or take control of clues. Force, at the beginning of the enemy phase, find a bystander asset, diffuse clues on it, move Diane to that asset's location if able. So she's going to basically move around from party desk to party desk, preventing you from interacting with them unless you eliminate her first. So then what we also have here is we have 5 cards called Sickening Reality, which all have different texts on them. So we're going to go ahead and look at the back sides first of these. So, there's a mention of the thing we said. Sickening Reality, you have to draw some of these. So it says, each investigator Constantine's domain to location takes 1 horror. Move 1 clue from Constantine's domain to her location. Flip this card to its enemy side and switch it with its bystander asset version of Constantine, removing that from the game. So, we have our assets here, Constantine's domain. And then this card, if we have Sickening Reality, it's going to flip her over to her enemy version, where she is now a monster lunatic. A little too sociable. 4, 6, and 1. Hunter. While Constantine demands exhausted, she gets +3 fight. What's wrong? Why aren't you enjoying yourself? So they kind of get like monstrous versions of themselves, which is a really interesting idea. This Sickening Reality from Mr. Perry. Each investigator at Jordan Perry's location takes 1 horror, move a clue from them, and then flip them over, removing the asset from the game. So Jordan Perry, an imposing presence. So he went from, I was like looking at 2 different artworks. Kind of sitting on the couch, you know, he's like big giant molten looking guy. Hunter Force, at the beginning of the enemy phase, heal 1 damage from Jordan Perry. Cigar smoke permeates the room, causing you to cough and wheeze. We have this one, so for issue, same thing. Take a horror, move each clue from her to the location, and flip them over. And then she becomes some sort of weird demony beast. Just Skin and Bones. 6, 4, and 3. Monster, lunatic, and elite hunter. After you deal damage to Ishimaru Hakuro by an effect other than attack, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Doesn't this dress look gorgeous on me? She goes from that into that. Then we have one for Sebastian. Comes like a hide creature almost. Savage Hysteria. 3, 5, and 3. Monster Lunatic Elite. Hunter and Retaliate. Sebastian was attack cannot be cancelled. Who wants to be in our next performance? And then our last one is for Ashley Clark. Again, all the same stuff, but there's text down there you might want to read for story purposes. So she becomes like a Banshee skeleton. Songs Die and Heard. 2, 5, and 4. Monster Lunatic Elite Hunter. Each investor Ashley Clark's location does not draw cards during their upkeep. Songs of the Hades shall sing, where the flaps and tires of the king we must guide and herd in dim Carcosa. So yeah, so it's a really neat mechanic of the game. We have like these assets you have to talk to, and then at some point something can happen to turn them into vile creatures you have to fight. Then we got some treachery cards. We have Fine Dining, which is a terror. It's a peril, so you can only solve this by yourself. Revelation must either place one of your clues on your bystander asset and play, or take 1 horror, 1 damage. Don't want around suspicion, but you really don't want to eat that. And then we have 2 copies of Tough Crowd. This is where they're kind of turning bad. Revelation, put Tough Crowd into play next to the agenda deck. Each investor must spend 1 additional action to parlay a force at the end of the round, discard Tough Crowd. So this is going to make it a little bit harder to defeat that. Alright, so that was our 2 in our base set, or the original series we had. Those 2 ones, then we have a bunch of small encounters that added in. And then after that will be a bunch more scenarios for all the rest. So we're going to look at this. I have these little dividers. These are my personal dividers that are not in any of the boxes, but they help show off what the symbols mean. So I'm going to go look at the book quick. So you have the delusions, which will have that little symbol. So delusions are going to be very interesting. So we have Whispers in Your Head Dismay. So we get 1 copy of this. It's a peril and a hidden card. Revelation. Secretly add the whispers to your head into your hand. So you get this peril card, you draw it, you just put it in your hand. You're not allowed to talk about it or say what you put it in your hand for or what it is. You could, because normally the peril card you can only activate, you can't talk to your team about what it does. This you can't even let them know which whispers in your head you have. So they can't even get the idea of like, oh, it could be one of multiple cards. You cannot commit skill test cards to skill test. 2 actions, discard whispers in your head from it. It takes just part of your turn to do it. You could also get whispers in your head dragged. It says Revelation, secret add to your hand. Do not move more than 1 space each turn. Whispers in your head anxiety. You cannot trigger lightning bolt abilities. And then whispers in your head doubt. You cannot play events. So yeah, either any one of them are just going to kind of shut you down a little bit. And then we have 2 copies of Descent into Madness. It's a surge, so it means you draw an extra card to replace it right away. Revelation, if you have at least 3 horror on you, lose 1 action. So that's always fun. Lose actions. Alright, so our next little mini encounter is going to be the Bayaki. And I'm probably always pronouncing them right. They're kind of like vicious, skeleton-like birds. So Swift Bahaki, 2, 3, and 2 monster and Bahaki, prey lowest remaining sanity, hunter and retaliate. Force, when Swift back, you would move via location hunter keyword. Instead, move it 1 location at a time until it enters its prey's location. If it moves more than 1 location in space, does not attack this phase. This is kind of cool, so it can get across the board really quick, but it can't get any additional attack. And then we have 2 copies of Hunted by the Bayaki, which is a packed revelation. Test for 6 foot. You fail, reveal the top X cards of your counter deck, where X is the amount you failed by. If at least 1 Bahaki card enemy is revealed by this effect, choose and draw 1 of them. If at least 1 Omen Treachery is revealed by this effect, take 1 horror and shuffle the encounter deck. So this is what makes it fun, because the story wants you to play this encounter with this and that. But if you buy enough stuff and you play them, you can kind of start making up your own stuff as well. There might be some that are required, but you can always add more. You could add this Bahaki into like any other set all of a sudden, just to like, now it'll trigger if there's other ones in those sets as well. As long as you have the required stuff for the other one. So that's kind of fun to be able to do stuff like that, or if there's more omens. Alright, next up we have the Inhabitants of Carcosa. So you're going to get that little symbol on there. And this one we're going to get a Beast of Elgaran. 3, 7 health, and 5. Monster Elite Massive. When assigning damage and horror from the Beast of Elgaran's attack, you must assign as much damage and horror as possible to a single card before assigning another damage. So you can't. So basically, if you're assigning damage from this attack, you can't be like, oh, okay, I'll give my investigator or my ally 2 damage they can take, and I'll take the 1 horror. Nope, you have to give all of it to that guy, and then they're going to be dead. Probably. Then we have 2 copies of Spawn of Hail, or Holly. 4, 4, and 2 monster. Prey, most horror. Retaliate, force. After you successfully evade Spawn of Hail, Holly, by 2 or less, take 1 horror. So avoiding it's not really the best unless you can do it very successfully. We have Evil Portents, which have like the crescent moons with 1 broken. Which we are going to get the name of a future campaign. The Black Star Rise. Black Stars Rise. Omen. Revelation. Test for 4 book. If you by 4. If you fail, you must either place 1 doom on the current agenda or take 1 horror for each point you fail by. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance. So that's never a good thing. We have 1 copy of the Spires of Carcosa. Which is another Omen. Revelation. Attach your location and place 2 doom on that location. If there are no doom attached on attached locations, discard Spires of Carcosa. Action. Investigate. If you succeed instead of discovering clues, you remove 1 doom from the location. Yeah, so basically you gotta get rid of the doom before you can discover clues. And then we got 2 copies of Twisted to His Will, a pact. Revelation. If there are no doom in play, Twisted to His Will gains surge. Otherwise, test for X. Mental where X is another doom in play. If it fails, discard 2 cards from your hand at random. So depending on when this hits, this could be really bad. Next up, we have some Hauntings. You definitely see Hauntings being added to every set. These are kind of like, again, the generic ones. So you have 2 copies of Poltergeist, Monster, and Geist. 3, 2, and 4. Cannot be damaged except by spell, relic, and encounter cards. Action Parlay. Test for 3 knowledge. Attempt to banish a Geist. If you succeed, deal 1 damage to it. So you have to try and do that twice. So it's kind of a pain. Unless you have a spell card. And then we have 2 copies of Spirit's Torment. Cursed and Geist. Revelation. Attach your location. Force. After you leave attached location, you must either take 1 horror or lose 1 action. Action. Place 1 of your clues on an attached location to discard the Spirit's Torment. Yes, they're kind of a pain. So what are you willing to lose? An action, a horror, or a clue? It's basically what this ends up being. We have Haster's Gift, which is a little like puppet strings cross. So we're going to get 2 copies of the Maniacs. We have some more lunatics to go with our ones from our party. 3, 4, and 1. Humanoid lunatic. Force. After a maniac engages with you, take 1 damage and deal 1 damage to the maniac. Get out of my head. We have 2 copies of Young Psychopath. 2, 2, and 3. Humanoid lunatic. Force. After Young Psychopath engages you, you must either take 1 horror or Young Psychopath gets +3 fight until the end of your investigation phase. Her eyes widen. She picked up the knife. So either you get scared enough that it throws her off, or she's focused enough to attack you. And then we have Dance of the King in Yellow. It's a pact. Revelation. If there are no lunatic enemies in play, Dance of the Yellow gains surge. Otherwise, test for 3 mental. If you fail, the nearest lunatic enemy readies moves 1 location at a time until it reaches your location, engages with you, and makes an immediate attack. So it's a pain. Then we have Cult of the Yellow Sign. A little key in there. Key in the circle. So we're going to get 3 copies of a Fanatic. 3, 2, and 3 humanoid cultists. We always have to have cultists in this game somewhere. He's going to get branded with the little yellow sign there. Spawn. Reveal the location with most clues. Force. After Fanatic enters play, move 1 clue from Fanatic's location to Fanatic. Force. When you defeat Fanatic, take control of all its clues. So it's going to gain an extra clue. We have 1 Agent of the King. 4, 4, and 2 humanoid cultists. Prey the most clues and Hunter. Force. After Agent of the King attacks you, move 1 of your clues to Agent of the King. Force. When you defeat Agent of the King, take control of all its clues. So you guys are just going to keep stealing all your clues. And then we have the King's Edict, which is a pact. Revelation. For each cultist enemy in play, move 1 clue from that enemy's location to that enemy. Till the end of the round, each cultist enemy in play gets +1 fight for each clue and or doom on it. No clues are removed by this effect, it gains surge. So yeah, this would definitely be a pain in the ass card to add to some sets with a lot of cultists, because then you're just going to keep picking up clues, so now you have to defeat them all. Otherwise, you might just be better off running away sometimes. Alright, we have Decaying Filth. A little insect there. So we're going to get 2 copies of Oozing Filth, Hazard, Revelation. Put Oozing Filth into play next to the agenda deck. Each location gets +1 Shroud. Force at the end of the round, discard Oozing Filth. 2 copies of Corrosion, Hazard, Revelation. Discard an item asset from your play area and or from your hand with a total printed resource cost of X, where X is the Shroud value of your location. No cards are discarded by spec that gain surge. You simply drop the object on the ground and watch as it erodes and turns to dust before your eyes. That would suck, like lose one of your guns, or something like that, or your machete. And then we have 2 Cockroach Swarms. X attack, 2 health, and 3 movement. Creature X is a shroud value of Roach Swarm's location. A matter of stinging cockroaches completely covers the floor, leaving trails of sticky brown ooze in its wake. It's not super hard to defeat, but it could be hard. It could attack you more the darker it is in the room. Then the last mini encounter before we get back to all of the scenarios is the Stranger. So we're going to get 2 copies of Marked by the Sign. Peril. Revelation. Test for 2 mental. If you fail, take 2 horror. If the man the Pale of Mask is in play, horror dealt by this effect is considered direct horror, and this has 2 difficulty. And then finally we have the Pale Mask Beckons, Omen, and Pack. Revelation. If the man the Pale Mask is in play, he attacks each investigator in play, in each investigator player in order, regardless of their current location. If the man the Pale Mask is not in play, search his bearer's deck and discard pile from him, draw this, and shuffle them into the bearer's deck. Resolve this effect even if the bearer is currently eliminated, searching out of all play areas. So he's basically just going to force them to go. So this only really works if you're playing it probably with the Pallid Mask guy who's in the first scenario. So it's not going to help you to add this one really into other stuff as much. Unless you pull out that 1 card and you add it in those decks, which you can definitely do just on a whim, because all the same backs. So you got, alright. So that was that. So now we're going to go ahead and hop into the other the other 6 scenarios for all our locations and stuff like that. Alright, so then each of these are going to be the name of the standard, or the encounter is going to be the name of the Mythos pack. It's just the next story in there. Like you can play them all in order, kind of goes in theory, or you can always pick them up and play one at a time. So we have Echoes of the Past. Skull is X minus X. X is the highest number of Doom on enemy in play. Hood is -2. If you fail, place 1 Doom on nearest enemy. Mirror is -2, or window. If you fail, discard random card from your hand. And Heart is -2 if you fail and there's an enemy at your location, take 1 horror. And then we just have the harder side, which kind of just ups everything a little bit more. Alright. Then our agenda. So we're going to start agenda 1A. The Truth is Hidden. Skip the place 1 Doom on the next step. Force after 1 more clues are placed on enemy in play. Flip those clues to their Doom side. Ooh. That's mean. And then the Dark Ritual. Agenda 2. Ransacking the Manor. I'm going to do kind of the same thing again. Oath Breaking. So yeah, here's where it's going to definitely go from like campaign stuff. So it says, set aside the spawn possessed Oath Speaker enemy in the hall. Check the campaign log. If Sebastian Moreau is not listed under the VIP swaying in the collection for Sebastian Moreau's Savage Hysteria, spawn him in the entry. So he was from the last campaign. So yeah, some of these almost need to have the previous one to do it, but you might be able to get away with some of them without doing it. Secrets better left hidden for 3, and then the way forward. Then we have some acts. Race for answers. So we're trying to find more answers about the King in Yellow. That's our whole goal here. So late night studies. For each revealed historic society location, add 1 per investigator clue to it. Mistakes of the past. And secret passageways. And then Act 3 is the Oath. And this is the Clasp. If Investors must decide. It's just an important discovery. We should take it. It's just a silly trinket. It would be wrong to steal from the historical site. Leave it behind. I love the options. Alright, so we're going to start with the entry hall. So, yeah, we went from went to a play, tried to figure out what's going on there. Then we went to a mansion for clues. Now we're going to the historical society to find out what's going on here. So you have the entry hall. It's on the ground floor. Entry hall is connected to each other ground floor location. So the entry hall. Action resign. You flee, leaving the mysteries of the past to the mysterious cults. So live for fight another day. So you have a bunch of historical society cards, which are ground floor. Enemy spawns this location, reveal this location. So we could end up in the meeting room. Action exhaust an ally asset. Discover or click this location. Another historical society, so we're going to have a bunch of these. We have the records office. Each enemy at this location gets +1 fight and +1 evade. Another ground floor historical society. With one invested in this location, your book cannot be increased. Then we go to the hall. Quiet hall is on the second floor, so quiet halls are connected to each second floor location. So here we have action. Each location of play is revealed, and there are no clues to location. Place 1 per investigator clue on the quiet halls. Another historical society, but this is the second floor. The enemy spawns this location, reveal it. So the historical museum. When invested in this location, your book cannot be increased. Another second floor. And we're going to the historical library. Reaction. After you successfully investigate this location, take 2 horror, discover 1 clue at this location. Limit once per round. And our third historical on the second floor is the reading room. Investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, choose an enemy with Doom on it. Take one of the enemy's Doom, flip it to its clue side, and place down your investigator. And then we have another quiet halls, which is on the 3rd floor. It's attached to all 3rd floor cards. And this one says action. If each location is played revealed, place 1 per investigator clues on quiet halls. So you just covered everything else. It might be something else. So now we have historical society 3rd floor. Enemy spawns there. It's revealed. We can go back to the historical library. Reaction. After you successfully investigate this location, take 2 horror, discover 1 clue at this location. We have a 3rd floor again. This time we are going to the Peabody's office. While investigating at this location, controls Mr. Peabody. This location gets -2 shroud. And then I have a 3rd one. Which takes us to the records office. Each enemy at this location gets 1 fight and 1 evade. And our final location is the hidden library. While an enemy is moving, hidden library gains a passageway trait, so enemies can move between it. That's all it says for that. And kind of discover it. Alright, then we have some characters. We have an enemy. We have the Possessed Oath Speaker, a Damnable Fate. 4, 5 per investigator, and 3. So Monster, Saboteur, and Delete. Hunter and Retaliate. Cannot be damaged during Act 1 or 2. Force. At the beginning of the enemy phase, the investigators must either ready a Possessed Oath Speaker or place 1 Doom on it. Objective. If it is defeated, go to Revelation 3. And then we have Mr. Peabody using an asset. Historical Society Curator. Ally Historical Society. Exhaust Mr. Peabody. Choose a location until Mr. Peabody readies that location, gets -1 shroud and passageway trait. This building contains many secrets. I will show you some, but I do not even know all of them. We could also find the Clasp of the Black Onyx. A gift unlooked for. Item Relic. While the Clasp of the Black Onyx is in your hand, increase the cost of each other card in your hand by 1. So it might be, why do you want this? There's probably a reason for the quest if you get away with it or keep it. And then we have the Taggart Cloak. Regalia Dementia. Item Clothing. So you get -1 sanity, but you get +1 brain, fist, and Movement, well, you have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. So very interesting. So you don't have a lot that's like. Also gives you +1 extra health, and it counts as an armor slot. It's not too bad there. And we have some enemies to fight. We have 3 copies of the Seekers of Carcosa, 2, 3, and 2 humanoid cultists. Spawn, an empty historical location society. Aloof. Force, at the end of the Mythos phase, move 1 crew from Seeker to Carcosa location to Seeker of Carcosa. If you cannot place 1 doom on them instead. And then we have 3 copies of Lega, Stray, Esteem, Apparel, Revelation. You must decide. Place 1 of your crews on a cultist or place 1 doom on the current agenda. This may cause it to advance. And then finally we have 2 copies of the Cultist Search. Steam, if there's a cultist enemy in play, doom on it, move all doom from each enemy cultist to the current agenda. Might cause the current agenda to advance. If there are no cultist enemies in play with doom on them, search and counter deck and discard power for cultist and draw it. So yeah, interesting. Playing a lot more cultists. Alright. Our next scenario, keep moving on. We have the Unspeakable Oath. Easy standard. Skull -1 if you fail randomly choose an enemy from set aside monster enemies, place it beneath the active deck without looking at it. Hood -X, X is no horror on you. Window -X, X is a base shroud value rotation, and Heart is just 0. Either randomly choose an enemy monster from one of the set aside monster enemies and place it beneath the active deck without looking at it, or test automatically fails. Ooh, so we got a bunch of cultists, now we're going to deal with a bunch of monsters. So it's kind of basically the same thing, just upped a little bit, so you can go ahead and read that if you like. Agenda 1, Locked Inside. So now we are going to the asylum, I believe, right? Yes. So we went from a party, went to a historical mission, now we're heading into the Arkham Asylum. The Patience. Shuffle the encounter deck for each set-aside lunatic enemy and then counter deck. Randomly choosing a set-aside monster enemy and places beneath the act deck without looking at it. Agenda 2, Torturous Descent. The Yellow Sign. So you check for constants from the first one. His Domain. Force, if you would, when you would place an enemy beneath the deck, shuffle that enemy and counter deck instead. So instead of getting rid of them, now they're gonna come. Masks, masks, and masks. Each registered investor do not resign is defeated. And then we go to our acts. We have Act 1, we're going to the Arkham Asylum. We're looking for Mr. Chesterfield. So keys to the basement. We have some different stuff there we can do. Testing for foot, brain, or foot, fist, or book. And they have really bad ones. Version 1. Ignore the text on unrevealed size of Arkham Island location. Objective: find the patient confinement location with Daniel Chesterfield. The Geese and Flock. And then we have the really bad ones, version 2, which has Daniel's warning. We can jump into Act 3, plan the escape. Investors have performed for the following, you must advance. So it's kind of cool. So again, so now we're searching for things around the building. So instead of this just always being like, oh, gain X coups, pay X coups to advance the act, and that's all you're trying to do, that will with other things you have to do in the game, which I think makes it really fun. A way out. And then Act 4, we have no asylum. Garden games. If there are no ready enemies in the garden, resign. Finally a way out. Each undefeated adversary has resigned to advance. So some you don't want to escape, or if you escape too early, you might not get the correct story, you might not get everything. Some games, you're just like, you need to escape. And I like, again, that's because not always defeat the final bad guy, you know, and then escape. So we have a couple different options there we could have done. Alright, then we have some locations. So these are interesting because they don't have a lock symbol on them like the other ones do. But we're going to start in the Asylum Hall, so West Patient Wing. So you're going to show where it's connected, but when we flip this over, so it's Arkham Asylum location. It says reaction. After you draw a lunatic enemy at this location, draw 1 card. So we're going to get another West Patient Wing. But this one instead say each lunatic enemy at this location gets +1 horror value. And then we'll head to the Eastern Patient Wing, where we'll have action, take 1 horror, evade, automatically evade a lunatic enemy at this location. Another Eastern Patient Wing. And we'll have force, after you end your turn in this location, take 1 horror and gain 2 resources. Now we're going to head into the kitchen. The doorway of the kitchen is locked, you cannot enter the kitchen. So I have to find some way into the kitchen. But if we do get in there, action, there are no clues in the kitchen, test for 2 mental. If you succeed, remember that you set a fire in the kitchen. The mess hall. Force, after you successfully investigate a mess hall, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. We can go to the infirmary. Action, heal 1 damage and take 1 direct horror, or heal 1 horror and take 1 direct damage. And then we can go out to the yard. It says, while you're investigating the yard, it gets +1 shock for each horror on you. Action, if there are no clues on the yard, take 1 damage. Remember that you incited a fight amongst the patients. We have the garden. The gate leading to the garden is locked. You cannot enter the garden. If we unlock it, we get action. There are no clues in the garden. Test for 2 foot. Success. If you succeed, remember that you distracted the guards. We can head into the basement hall. Doorway to the basement hall is locked. You cannot enter the basement hall. Force. After the basement hall is revealed, place the force set aside patient confinement locations into play. So those are the next 4 cards we have. I'm going to drop these down really quick. So you have patient confinement. As an additional cost to enter the patient confinement, you must spend 1 clue. So all 4 will say the same thing. But what are we looking for here? We have Daniel's cell. Force, after patient confinement is revealed, advance to Act 2B. Have another regular one. Let me flip that over. We could have found the occupied cell. Action, test 2 fists to release the patient from his bonds. If you succeed, he howls like a wolf and tears off to the basement. Remember that you released a dangerous patient. Another confinement. Action, test for 2 book. Speak to the patient here. If you succeed, you are able to interpret her ravings. Remember that you know the guard's patrols. And then the last one is familiar cell. Action, test for X brain, where X is the amount of horror on you. If you succeed, you recognize the room. Remember that you recalled the way out. So hey, maybe you were a patient at one point. And then we are going to get Daniel Chesterfield. He's not doing all too well. Ally and lunatic. So lightning bolt, exhaust Daniel Chesterfield, give control of him to another investigator location. Force, when you take horror, if at least one of the horror is not assigned to Daniel, take 1 damage. Force, if Daniel Chesterfield leaves play, remove him from the game. So you have to try and keep him alive, which is very interesting. But he can also flip over Daniel Chesterfield, or at least that's what's left of him. 3, 4, and 3, Humanoid, Lunatic, and Elite. Prey, highest spike. Action, if you control class of Black Honest, parlay. If you show Daniel the class when he staggers backwards, collapsing a motionless husk, adding to the victory display. So hey, here's a reason to hold on to that terrible item, right? Alright, so we got 2 copies of Asylum Gorger, 4, 5, and 4, Monster and Abomination, Spawn, Basement Halls, Hunter. Asylum Gorger cannot make attacks of the opportunity, cannot attack during the same phase it moved from its Hunter keyword, but it does 3 damage and 3 mental, so it's deadly. We have 3 copies of Mad Patient, 2, 2, and 3, Humanoid Lunatic, spawns nearest Asylum Halls. Prey with the most sanity. Force, when you attack the Mad Patient, take 1 horror. Sometimes the most terrifying foe is one's own mind. We have 2 copies of Straight Jacket, Item, and Clothing. Revelation. If there are no copies of Straight Jacket in your threat area, put Straight Jacket into play in your threat area as an asset. It takes up a body slot and 2 hand slots. Turn each asset in the slots to your hand. This card cannot really play except by the ability below. Spend 2 to discard Straight Jacket. So that sucks, because I mean, you can get rid of it pretty easy, but now you have to replay all those cards. Alright, so we have Guilt of Madness, Pity, Peril, and Hiddenness. Now again, tied with the first one, you might get this in your hand, and your opponent's not going to know which hidden card you have in your hand, if it's one of the Gifts of Madness or one of the other ones. Which are those also called Gifts of Madness? I just want to double check that quick. They were in the second set. In Delusions. No, Whispers in Your Head. Okay. I thought they were a different name. So we have Revelation. Add Secret Gifts of Madness, Pity to your hand. You cannot attack lunatic enemies. Random. Choose one enemy from one of the set-aside monster enemies. Place it beneath the act deck without looking at it. Discard Gifts of Madness. We could get Misery. It says you cannot trigger action abilities on locations. All the rest of the stuff is the same. I like the back of the cards changed too. We only got 2 of those. So we got 3 copies of Walls Closing In. Revelation. Test for X Mental, where X is a shroud value of your location. If you fail, you can either take 1 horror for each point you fail by, or randomly select 1 enemy from among the set-aside monsters. Push me to the act deck without looking at it. So that's the only downside about looking at these without reading all the rules and the setup on that, because with some of these things explain what happens, why you're putting these under there. So it's, yeah, without knowing that stuff, it sometimes becomes kind of hard. Alright, but we're going to hop into our next one. We have a Phantom Truth. Easy standard. Skull X, X is Meloduma, and play maximum of 5. Hood, -2. If you fail, move each unengaged Bahaki into play once towards the nearest investigator. Window, -3. Cancel the effects and icons in each skill test committed by this test. And Heart, -2. If you fail, or lose 1 resource for each point you fail by. And then just a little bit harder of each of those. Alright, so we left the Asylum. Now where are we going? We are headed to Paris. Very interesting. We went from hanging out in different areas of Massachusetts. Now we're heading all the way to Paris. So agenda 1, the first night. When you have more conviction than doubt, gain the agenda. When checking the Doom Conquer threshold and Doom cards other than this agenda, subtract the Doom total from it instead of adding to it. So again, you know what the doubt and conviction mean. So you have Daybreak. But I'm not going through all the rules. Just kind of want to see what's in here. The second night. And the Red Sun Rises. And then Act 3 is the third night. And at dawn at last. For our acts, we have the Partisan Conspiracy version 1. And we could go to St. Bernard's. So interesting, depending on how you advance, you get different options. The Partisan Conspiracy version 2. True Evil. We have Act 2, Pursuing Shadows. Dealing with the Organist. The Lost Lamb. Act 2, Stalked by Shadows. There's some different options there. Shepherd's Crook. So these are our different acts. And then we are going to go to some locations in Paris. So I'm going to butcher all these names. You have Montparnasse, so Paris and the rails. But from there, we might end up just in discard cards from your hand, gain resources equal to the number of brain icons on a discarded card. We have a second one. Just get some different options here where we're going and different versions of what we're getting. Reveal the top card of each investigator's deck. You may play an asset revealed by this effect, paying its cost. Under your control, shuffle each investigator's deck. Or a third one is we have spend 1 resource, add 1 supply or ammo to a card you control. Then we can go to the Grand Guignol, the Theater of the Great Puppet. And here we have Force. After you reveal the Grand Guignol, you must either take 2 horror or shuffle non-weakness cards from your hand into your deck. Then draw an equal number of cards. The Opera Garnier. So if we want to go to the Opera. While you're investing in the Opera, double the number of all skill icons on committed cards this test. Another Opera card. More options are always fun. While you're investing in Opera, double the base value on all your skills. Gare de Orse. Train station. Action, spend 1 resource, move to any rail location. So that's cool. We've seen that rail location. It's a neat way to use that. Père Lachaise Cemetery. And that's his Force. After you successfully investigate the cemetery, you cannot leave the cemetery until the end of the round. Canal St. Martin. Again, the first sides don't generally do anything, but they just set up the world. Reaction after invading an enemy at the canal. Move that enemy to a connecting location. We have Le Maris. Paris and Rail. Reaction. When your turn begins, if you're in the Le Maris, draw 1 card. I have another version of that, which instead does Force. If you enter the Le Maris, for the remainder of your round, you cannot leave it. Notre Dame. As each enemy at Notre Dame gets -1 fight, but +1 evade. Test for 6 brain. If you succeed, either place 1 doom on the current agenda or remove 1 doom from the current agenda, depending on what you want to do. And our last location is the Gardens of Luxembourg. It says, well, the hockey enemy is moving. If there's an investigator guards Luxembourg, that enemy's location because you'll be connected to the garden. So basically, it's a big area they can see you. More or less. Alright. Then we have the Organist. Hopeless. I defied him. 5 attack, no health, 3 movement. Humanoid avatar and elite. Hunter cannot be damaged. Force. After the Organist moves from the Hunter keyword, if it is unengaged, resolve its Hunter keyword again. The Organist cannot attack this phase, so it's going to try and find you. But he can also flip over. He goes draped in misery, so 3 and 5. He's aloof, but cannot be damaged. Force. At the end of the enemy phase, the Organist is unengaged. Wheel 1 location away from the nearest investigator. To a location with no investigators, if possible. If it is engaged, disengage. So there's one side where he's going to hunt you down, and one side where he's going to run away. And his stats change. So if he's attacking, he has a lot more attack than evade. Otherwise, he has a lot more evade. This is kind of a neat little enemy. We have 2 stealthy Bahaki, so they can go off the other one from our little encounter. So 5, 2, and 3. Hunter with stealthy Bahaki is exhausted. It gets -3 fight. If you can hear the beating of its leathery wings, it's already too late. The Twin Sons. Revelation. Test for 4 book. If you fail, you must either remove 1 doom from the current agenda or take 1 horror for each point you fail by. We have 3 copies of Deadly Fate, which is an Omen. Revelation. Test for 3 brain. If you fail, discard cards from the top of your encounter deck until the enemy is discarded. You must either draw that enemy or the enemy attacks you from the discard pile. If no enemy is discarded, take 1 horror instead. 3 copies of Treacherous Chords, Hex and Terror. Revelation. Test for 5 brain. If you fail, put Treacherous Chords into play in your threat area with 1 resource on it for each point you fail by. Each time you play a card, increase the cost of that card by 1 and move 1 resource from the Torturous Chord. Torturous Chord has no resource to discard it. So yeah, it's going to suck up your resources. We have Frozen in Fear. Terror. Put Frozen in Fear into play in your threat area. The first time you perform one of the following actions, move, fight, or evade, each round, it gains 1 additional action. Force. At the end of your turn, test for 3. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. And the final part of the scenarios, we have 4 weaknesses, so 1 for each player. Lost Souls, Madness, and Pact. Revelation. Check the campaign log. If you have more or equal doubt than your conviction, test for X books, where X is your brain. If you fail by 2. If you have more conviction than doubt, test X brain, where X is your book. If you fail, take 2 damage. So interesting. So like, to deal with this might just depend on what your doubt and convictions are. Alright, so that's what we have for the Phantom Truth. We have 3 more scenarios to do. Alright, so we have the Pallid Mask. So, Skull is minus X. X is the number of locations away from the starting locations you are. So, interesting. Hood is minus 2. If this token is revealed during an attack, the skill test is successful, so attack deals 1 less damage. Window, minus 2. If there's already a ghoul or geist enemy in your location, it attacks you. And Heart, minus 3. If you fail to search the encounter for a pile of ghoul or geist. Now we're going to deal with some ghoulies and geists. So very interesting. It's kind of X up. And location's going to make a difference. So let's see what that does. So we have Agenda. The Empire is dead. Each location is connected to each location adjacent to it. So interesting. This actually flips over. We have the Spectre of Death, a force from beyond. 5 health per investigator, and 3 foot. Monster, Geist, and Elite. Spawn, starting location, Hunter, and Retaliate. When Spectre of Death is exhausted, it takes 1 less damage from each attack made against it. Force, after you fail a skill test while attempting to evade Spectre of Death, it attacks you. Oh, interesting. So if you try to evade it, if you don't, it's going to hurt you. Then we have Agenda 2, Empire of the Dead. And then this one just flips over to a regular join them in death. Each defender is defeated suffers 1 physical trauma. So yeah, not a ton of whoops-de-doodles. Not a ton of agendas on there, pretty straightforward. Our acts, though, are through the catacombs. We're going to play around some catacombs. We went from Paris, now we're in the catacomb Paris, as I would assume. Find them out of the Pallid Mask. That's what we're trying to do there. The Stranger's Shadow. So now look for another VIP we're looking for. The Path is Barred. That flips over to Beyond the Mask. Depending on how you advance, you get different things. Act 3, The Way Out. Objective. If each undefeated investigator is at the gates of hell, advance. The catacomb collapses. Or, we have Act 3, Leading the Way Out. You got the blocked path. Head this secret exit. Alright, so this is going to have a lot of locations, but they're all going to be the catacombs. So I'm not even going to... Here. This is how many there are. They're all catacombs. And so they're all going to say the same things. I'm not going to keep showing this side every time. We'll just skip right to looking at what's at the opposite side of them, since we know they're all going to be the same and they're all connected. So we don't even need to say. As an additional cost fee to enter the catacombs, investigators at a location must spend 1 clue per investigator as a group. So we enter our first catacomb. We have the Gates of Hell. Force, when the Gates of Hell is revealed, put the top 2 catacombs in the catacomb deck into play above and below the Gates of Hell. The Stone Archways. Ignore the text on unrevealed locations adjacent to stone archways. Force, when stone archways are revealed, put the topmost catacombs in the catacomb deck play to the right of stone archways. So the whole thing is when you get to a location, it's going to give you a direction. It's going to tell you where to put cards. So instead of like maybe if you're entering like the hotel or the house and you have options to go left or right, here you're going to be kind of forced on which way you go based on which cards you draw. So you have another stone archways. Ignore the text on unrevealed locations adjacent to the stone archways. When stone archways are revealed, put the topmost catacomb cards into play at the rightmost of the archways. We have Crypt of the Shafiro Lamp. Superior? Once investigated using brain instead is still indicated by the investigating attempt. Force. When the crypt is revealed, put the top 2 catacomb cards in the deck above and to the right of the crypt. We have the Bone-Filled Cavern. When investigating the Bone-Filled Cavern, you have 1 fewer hand slots. Force. When the Bone-Filled Cavern is revealed, put the top 2 catacomb cards below and to the right of the cavern. The Well of Souls. Force. After ending your turn at the Well of Souls, you must either take 1 direct horror or discard 2 cards from your hand. Random cards from your hand, even. Force. When the Well of Souls is revealed, put the topmost catacomb cards above, below, or to the right of the wells. The Tanglelit Tunnels. We're actually going to get 2 of them, so let's get both of them right away. Action test for 3 book. Read the ancient sign. If you succeed with the revealed side of any catacomb in play, Force. When the Tanglelit Tunnel is revealed, put the top 2 catacomb cards in the face near the left and right. And we have 2 Labyrinth of Bones. So they say Force. When Labyrinth of Bones is put in the face, put top 3 catacombs above, below, and to the right of the labyrinth. We have a Narrow Shaft. Force. When you would move from the narrow shaft to an unrevealed location, test for 3 foot. If you fail, take 1 damage and cancel the effect of the move. Force. When narrow shaft is revealed, put the topmost catacombs to the above or to the right. Shivering Pools. Force. After into your turn, Shivering Pools must either take 1 direct damage or lose 5 resources. Force. Put the topmost catacomb cards below or to the right of Shivering Pools. Blocked Passage. Force. When you reveal Blocked Passage, take 2 damage. You cannot leave Blocked Passage this round. A stack of human remain blocks the Tanglelit Corridor. It gives new meaning to the phrase Dead End. And our final location is the Tomb of Shadows. Force. When the Tomb of Shadows is revealed, advance to Act 1B. When the Man of Pal masters the Tomb of Shadows, he gains +1 health per investigator. It cannot be defeated by his Activate ability. So yeah, pretty crazy. Definitely different way to like move around the map. Alright, then we have some enemies here. We have 3 copies of Catacomb Docient, 3, 2, and 2, Humanoid Lunatic, spawn nearest unrevealed location. Action Parlay, test for 4 books to interpret the God's ravings. If you succeed with the revealed side of any Catacomb location in play. We can also get 3 Corpse Dwellers, 3, 5, and 4 monsters. Spawn, discard a humanoid enemy at any location to spawn Corpse Dweller in that location. If there are humanoids in play, discard Corpse Dweller, gain surgeons, get Hunter, and Retaliate. So while you're trying to talk to these guys, gaining information while not taking damage, or defeating them, they can potentially turn into giant monsters. We have 3 copies of Eyes in the Walls, Terror, Revelation, test for 3 mental. For each point you fail by, take 1 horror. When assigning horror from this effect, it must be divided evenly as possible among eligible cards. So you can't just give it all to like your allies. Or clothing or whatever. We have 2 copies of The Shadow right behind you. Terror. Put the shadow right behind you into your threat area, limit 1 per investigator. Action, look behind you. Force, at the end of your turn, if you did not perform the above ability, you must either discard all your resources or discard all cards in your hand, then discard your shadow behind you. So basically, it's either you have to every turn spend 1 action to look behind you to keep this thing off you, or to get rid of it, you have to give up all your resources or all your cards in your hand. So if you run low on resources or low on cards in your hand, it might be worth just getting rid of it. Oh, I'm sorry, we had 3 copies of that. 1 got shuffled behind the other. And then we have 3 copies of The Pit Below. Hazard, attached to your location if there is no copy of Pit Below attached. If there is, gain Surge instead. Attached location gets +1 Shroud. Force, at the end of each round, each investigator at attached location takes 3 damage, discard Pit Below. Don't fall into the Pit Below. Bad. Alright. Our next scenario is the Black Stars Rise. We did see a card referencing that earlier. So Skull X minus X. X is the highest amount of doom on agenda in play. Hood, reveal another token. This token is revealed during the attack or evasion attempt. Against an enemy with Duma, the skill is automatically failed instead. And then we have Wingo, reveal another token. If you fail, place one Doom on the Jenga. And Heart -2 if you fail, search the encounter deck and discard battle for a Bahati and enemy and draw it. So basically banking on you hopefully failing stuff. That's what they're doing here. Alright, our agendas. So this is going to be an interesting one. So we have the Tide Rises. Investors spend one coup per player as a group. Place one go on the agenda. This effect causes the agenda event. Each of your gains 2 resources. So you can kind of So we're going to the Porte de Evelance. So we're heading out to a port here. So Red Dawn Sunrise. So there's different stuff. So check current agenda C. To see if we have some different stuff there. Alright, so I have What the Storm Rage. Each copy of Ancient Evil gains Surge. Oh, that is mean. Just puts a Doom out, so we're just trying to increase the Doom quicker. Words Intertwine, there's Ashley Clark's. I haven't seen hers yet. Agenda 2A, like the Storm Rage. You have a different one. This one says the Path to Carcosa. So now this is going to add a brand new symbol on here. So we have some different little mini encounters in this set, which I didn't list in my deck divide because they all go with this encounter. The rich is almost complete. All is left to find the gate and step through. Remove the remainder of this agenda deck from the game. Replace it to set aside Act 3 card and advance to that act. So you have agenda 3A, the City Floods. And Dying Herd, unfortunately. We have agenda 1, the Ritual Begins. And it says Blue Star's Demise. So we have 2A, the entity above. Monsters get +1 fight. Hooray! Worlds Intertwine. And we have agenda 2C. So we're still looking at agendas. We just have some different agendas. So the Path to Carcosa. Move a remainder set aside agendas and replace with the set aside Act 3 card. Advance to that act. And then we have agenda C3, Swallowed Sky. Each monster gets +1 fight. So this one has a higher up symbol. So Dying Herd. And then we have Act 3 card. Open the path below. 2 Carcosa. And then we have the Open the Path above. So let's go to Carcosa. So basically what we're doing is we're coming to the city, it's starting to flood. And we need to escape the flood. Either we can go down or we can go up. That's our 2 different options here. So we're going to have a bunch of locations on this set as well. So here's our starting location, the Port of Levance. So we jump into that. 2 actions, move 1 goon from one agenda deck to the other, then place 2 crews on the Port de Levance. So we're trying to have 1 for whichever direction we're going. The Grand Rue, Mont St. Michael's main road, course around the Abbey. So that's going to be forced. After you succeed a skill test by 1 or less while investing in the Grand Rue, place 1 doom on the agenda with the most doom. The Outer Wall. And that will flip over to force it. After 1 or more doom is placed on the A agenda deck, each investor at the Outer Wall takes 1 damage. And then we have another one. Says, well, the current C agenda has more doom on it than the current A agenda. Double the number of skill icons on cards committed towards the test on the Outer Wall. So this is kind of neat. We have 2 different agenda decks fighting against each other. For which way is going to happen? Are you going to go down or up? The North Tower. So it's at force. After one or more doom is placed on the C agenda deck, each investor at the North Tower takes 1 horror. Then we have the other one, which is going to be, well, the current A agenda has more doom on it than current C. Reduce the difficulty test at each North Tower by 1. We have some broken stairs. Force, after you enter broken stairs, you must either lose 1 action or draw the topmost omen treachery in the encounter discard pile. So more broken steps. Force, after you enter the broken steps, you must either discard an asset you control or draw the topmost cultist enemy card. The Abbey Church. The pathway into the Abbey Church is blocked. An additional cost for you to enter the Abbey Church. Investors at broken steps must spend 3 clues per investor as a group. And if there are 2 agendas in play at different agenda numbers, Abbey Church is +2 Shroud. Force, when Abbey Church is revealed, with the set aside Collier, Gothic, Knight's Hall, Cloister, Chapel of St. Albert's, and Abbey Tower locations into play. So until you get into this, you don't get access to the rest of the areas. So I'm going to drop these down because we have a bunch of those. We have the Collier, Gothic. It says, action, place 2 doom on the current A agenda, heal 2 damage. We have another one. Kind of get some options here. Action, place 1 doom on the current agenda C, heal 2 horror. The Cloister. Action, if there are no clues on a Cloister, parlay, test for 3 brand. If he succeeds, remember that you have found a guide. A lone monk patrols. Knight's Hall. So if there are no clues on Knight's Hall, investigate. Investigate using the foot instead of book. If you succeed discovering clues, remember that you have found the T Tower. The Chapel of St. Albert's. The way to the chapel is hidden. You cannot enter the chapel unless you have found a guide. So if you haven't revealed that card, you have to go back and look for it. You can only discover the clues in the Chapel of St. Albert's. You have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. Action, take up to 3 horror. So you can take enough to be able to discover it. We have a second St. Chapel as Albert's. Same thing, you have to find a guide. Water's Forbidden. So this is, again, so like you normally have the little Abbey icon or whatever, church icon. Now we're going to have the water icon on there. It's going to tie into some of them. And then this one has the air icon. So it's kind of depending on which version you go through. And then we have the Abbey Tower. Not be locked, not enter tower unless you found the key. So here we have the air version. You can only discover clues in Abbey if you have no cards in your hand. Action, discard up to 3 cards. And then we have the other Abbey, which says nothing. So like one's kind of safe, one's a little bit more tricky to do stuff on. Alright, then we have some enemies. We have 2 copies of Tidal Terror, Spawn, Port de Levant, or Chapel of St. Albert's, Hunter. When the tide is high, then they emerge from the sea to feed. So that's 4, 4, and 2. We can also get Rift Seeker, 3, 3, and 4 monster, Bahati Cultist. Force, after Rift Seeker attacks you, you must either take 1 additional damage and 1 additional horror, or place 1 doom on each agenda in play. Action, place 1 doom on each agenda in play to take 2 horror, to parlay to discard Rift Seeker. So there's a way to get rid of him. 3 copies of Crashing Floods, which has the Omen ability, Revelation test for 3 books, or 3 foot. If you fail, if the agenda 1A is in play, take 1 damage, lose 1 action. Agenda 2A is in play, take 2 damage, lose 2 action. In fact, 3 is, or agenda 3 is in play, take 3 damage, lose 3 actions. So if it gets too flooded, you're going to be in pain. And then we have 3 copies of Worlds Emerge, which is an Omen, Revelation test for 3 brain. If you fail, same thing as the other one, except if it's C cards instead of the other A cards, you get horror and have to discard cards from your hand. So either 1 is you take 1 and 1, 2 is 2 and 2, and 3 is 3. So very interesting. Alright, so then for our final scenarios, we have Dim Carcosa, which will have the 2 different like moons on there reflecting in the lake. So for skulls, -2, -4 if you have no sanity remaining. Hood, revealing another token. If you fail, take a horror. Window, -3 if you fail and Haster is in play, place 1 clue on your location. And Heart, if you -3 if this token is revealed during an attack or invasion attempt against a monster H1, lose 1 action. And if we flip to the harder side, it just gets more difficult stuff. Alright, so what are we doing in the final part of the game? We have Magnus Coils. Haster cannot be defeated. There's at least 3 investigator damage on Haster against this agenda. Key to the blank, and you have some decisions to make. Yeah, so kind of cool. Let's give you a chance to pause and read that. The Magnus Drowns. So 2A. Haster's +1 fight and cannot be defeated. So yeah, he does not want you to kill him, obviously. The final guest. Interesting. And then we have Agenda 3A, Magnus Dies. Haster's +2 fight. Haster cannot be defeated unless you know the secret. So you spent all these things trying to find out all about the King in Yellow and Haster. Did you find enough to beat him? We will hopefully find out. Act 1, Lost in Carcosa. And they have his final bow. Look, the man in the Pal Mask is back. Of course he is. Act 2A, Search for Stranger, version 1. Well, the lead investor is at the man of the Pal Mask location. He must spend 3 to advance. So you have to find him. And then we have this. We flip this over. The Pallid Mask, Chasing Tails. So we get to play as the Pallid Mask. Item Relic, Revelation. Put the Pallid Mask into play under the lead investor's control. Remove the man from the Pallid Mask from the game. Spawn the set-aside Haster Tiger King enemy in place in the Palace of the King. You Pallid Mask not lose. We play, you get -2 sanity. So you beat him, this thing gets equipped on you, basically, and you lose 2 sanity. That's all it does for you. Then we have Search for Strangers version 2. And this one instead says, Figment of your imagination. Set aside Haster the King in Yellow enemy into play in the next act deck. For the remainder of the scenario, Haster can be in play, but is not at any location. Remove all Pallid mana from the mask. So one version you get is Mask, which basically hurts you, and you get one version of Haster. If you beat him this other way, you get the King in Yellow instead. And then we have Search for Strangers version 3. Which this one will be like, the disguise is laid aside. Spawn the set-aside Haster Warder Carcosa enemy at the man in the Mask Pal Mask location. Remove him from there. So yeah, so depending on which one you get or which path you take, you get a different boss, which is kind of cool. Act 3A, the King in Taggers. Objective, if Haster is defeated, advance. So we want to defeat him. So this one has Finish. That's all we get. We just get the one act. If Haster the Tiger King is a version of Haster defeated, you get R1. If it's King Yellow, you get R2. Lord of Carcosa, you get R3. So depending on which one you defeat, you get a different option. Alright, then we have some locations. We're going to go to the Shores of Holly. This is in the other world. There's nothing special there. But on the back, we have story cards. So you go 1 damage to Haster, exhaust him, disengage from all investors. Flip this card back over for the remainder of the game. This card cannot be flipped over again. The song that Hades shall sing. We have the Bleak Plains. When you're in the Bleak Plains, you cannot play ally assets. You can still have them. If you have them, you just can't play new ones. This one also has a story. Deals damage. Bleak Desolation lets you deal damage to Haster. 2 per investigator. Another Bleak Plains. Which this one has a bunch of other stuff. Heals the investigator, deal 4 damage to enemy other than Haster. Has some other stuff on there too. Stars of Albarang. The Ruins of Carcosa. Of course, after you discover the last remaining clue in Ruins of Carcosa, take 1 damage. And this will let you heal some horror and set aside some extra areas. The Inhabitants of Carcosa. Another Ruins of Carcosa, same thing. But on the other side, we instead have the Coffin. Deal 1 damage to Haster. We have a third Ruins of Carcosa, which will let you decide. Choose an enemy and play, exhaust that enemy, disengage all investors, or heal 5 horror. This card from the game replaces any other set of cards of Ruined Carcosa. So yeah, basically they're giving you these alternate options for these cards. You find the one to let you deal damage to Haster. If you don't, you basically, oh nope, this wasn't the right one. I have to go find the other version of that card. It's just kind of giving you like which is the real one type of vibe. You have Dim Streets. Force, after you discover the last remaining clue in Dim Streets, lose 1 action. And then you flip this over. This is a King's Parade. A test for 2. If you succeed, exhaust Haster and disengage from him, and then find a new one. So there's the next one. Same thing on the front. The back is instead mapping the streets. Test for 3 book. Each point you fail by, take 1 horror, deal 1 damage to Haster, regardless whether you succeed or fail. Then Dim Streets, the third one. Test for 1 brain. For each point you succeed by, each investigator heals 1 horror. This is the Archway. And then we have the Depths of Dene. While you are at the depths, you cannot play fast cards. Don't look up. So here we have Steps of the Palace. Deal 1 damage to Haster, exhaust, and disengage from all investigators. Now you have an alternate one. Which this one will be Heights of the Depths. Remove each investigator heals 5 horror, and then remove it and look for the other one. The Dark Spires, so the other world. And it says, the fall you must decide. Do not bring yourself to do what you must do, flip this card back over. Or realizing what you must do, you step forward and push her. So take 2 horror and deal 2 damage per player to Haster, flip this card back over. And then finally we have the Palace of the King. Place the Palace. The Palace of the King cannot be flipped over unless Haster has at least 5 per investigator damage on him. And if it gets flipped over, we have, remember that you know the secret, flip this card back over. And there's that one, so you can't beat him unless you knew the secret. Alright, so we're going to jump to some of the creatures we have in here. We have the Creature out of Gamay, 4, 5, and 2 monsters spawn at the Depths of Gamay. Massive. Force, when Creature Gamay's location or connecting location is flipped over, Creature out of Gamay is ready. It attacks each investor at that location. The Winged One, 3, 3, and 4 monster back. Spawn the Bleak Plains, retaliate. Force, after location is flipped over, if the Winged One is ready and unengaged, move it towards that location. We have 3 copies of Dismal Curse, Curse and Terror, Revelation, test for 3 brain. If you have no remaining sanity, this test gains +2 difficulty. If you fail, take 2 damage. 4 damage instead if you have horror on greater than or twice your sanity. 2 copies of the Realm of Madness, Terror, Revelation. Discard cards from play, anger from your hand with a total printed resource cost of at least X, where X is the amount of horror on your investigator. If no cards are discarded with respect, take 2 horror. We have 1 copy of the Final Act, Terror. Terror, which has Surge, Revelation. If you have no remaining sanity, place 2 Doom on the agenda, then cause it to advance. We have a copy of Possession Traitor, so another Peril and Hidden card. Revelation, the secret, add Possession Traitors to your hand. If you have more horror, if you have horror on you greater than twice your sanity, you are immediately killed, eliminated and killed. You may commit this card to a skill test at your location. That test automatically fails. Oh, so if you want to get rid of this, you have to automatically fail a test. Torturous, it's the same thing, Peril, Hidden. You have horror on you greater than your sanity, you are immediately eliminated. So spend 5 resources to discard this. Okay, that's not so bad. Sucks, but not so bad. And then Murderous, deal 2 damage to investigator location, and then discard this card. Awesome. So the last 3 cards we have are Haster himself. So we have the King in Yellow. We want to see him. So he's 4, 7 health per investigator, and 2 movement. Or evade. Ancient One and Elite. Cannot be damaged except by story card effects. Force, at the beginning of the enemy phase, if Haster is ready, Haster attacks each investigator in player order, regardless of location. If Haster attacks deals horror and excess to your sanity, you take 1 damage as well. Action, test X brain where X is Haster's fight value. You succeed, Hasker, exhaust Hasker, Investigator may trigger this action. So it's kind of interesting because he's a boss, so you gotta fight, but you can't do damage. You can't be like, oh, we saved up all this ammo, or we have these massive spells to use, or a couple of good swords or something. No, you have to use these other cards to get rid of them. So the investigators might be better at this. The seekers, sorry. We have Hasker, Lord of Carcosa, who has 3 attack, 9 health per player, and 3 movement. So he does kind of, his stats kind of bounce back out there in the attacking evade, but he gains a lot more health. Prey, most remain insanity. Hunter and massive. If Hasker attacks, deals horror in excess to your sanity, you take 1 damage as well. While Haskers being attacked or evaded by an investigator with no remaining sanity, treats each elder sign +1, 0, or -1 token as the heart sign. Oh, that sucks. And then the final version is the Haggard King. 3, 8 per investigator, and 2, most sanity remaining. Hunter, if he attacks, deals excess in your sanity, you take 1 damage as well. While Hasker is being attacked or evaded by an investigator, so it does the same thing as the other one. Just, here he only does 2, but he has 9 health, and he's massive, so it's kind of like the big hard one. This is kind of like the medium one. The other one's kind of like the easier one, so it's kind of like that way. But I think they're also difficult in their own right. Yeah, so that's our Elder one, or Ancient one. So that is pretty cool. Alright, so that is what we have for Arkham Horror, the card game, the Path to Carcosa scenarios. So yeah, if you guys were interested in picking this up, you can pick it up in the full box set, or if you happen to find all the Mythos packs really cheap, plus the campaign expansion here, you can pick up all those with the Investigator cards all in one bundle versus buying 2 separate packs. Or check out the speed unboxing if you want to see exactly what cards were in each pack. Hit me up in the comments. Check out the rest of the Arkham videos. See you guys later. Bye.